Well, I just got this 1974 Red Green Porsche 914, and it occasionally hesitates and stops, which is scary on the road. And then it'll just start up again. So it's not like vapor lock, but I think it's a fuel-related issue. And mechanically, it's very original. It still has the factory fuel lines, which have been known to rupture and cause all kinds of nastiness, including fires. So today, I'm going to replace those fuel lines with a stainless steel kit from Tangerine Racing, and I figured I'd document it to help anybody else who might be going through this. Don't you love the granny seats? Yeah, they're coming out too. The most important first step is to disconnect the battery. You do not want sparks when you're playing with gas. We're going to start with siphoning out the gas that's in the fuel tank. I've already worked down the gas to hopefully less than 5 gallons, so it should fit in that container. Let's get started. Okay, so this is what comes in the kit. We've got our fuel filter, fuel pump, clamps, which I think I bought outside of the kit, but anyway. We've got several diameter hose for return and supply. We have the engine compartment lines, and we have our U, and we have eye terminals for the wiring. Nice job, Chris at Tangerine. So I've fit the outlet hose onto the fuel filter. See where the flow goes in that direction, and that's going to ultimately get connected to the inlet of the fuel pump. But I want to test fit everything up here and not underneath the car, so that when I'm under the car, it's a little easier to move around. Alright, I've got my 10mm wrench here, and I'm going to loosen up the nuts holding the fuel pump. I really hate this dripping gas, but that's just the nature of the beast. Now the fuel pump's free, and you can see there's the Y connecting to that third port, which we're going to eliminate. I'm sorry, I can't shoot and operate a wrench at the same time. So the previous owner used some electrical tape to protect the connections. Not a great job, but we'll fix that. Okay, so I realized that I bought the wrong coil clamp, because it's looking like a vertical mount rather than a sideways mount. So I started thinking, what could I use to continue using the stock mount? And I found this rubber sleeve. It's just a plumber's rubber. And I'm going to slice it and make a sleeve so that I can fit this into the regular bracket and it'll be tight. So this fits kind of perfectly, and maybe offer a little bit more vibration resistance too. We'll see how it goes. So here, with the light here, are the supply and return lines, which I'm gonna switch over to stainless. We'll do that first. Okay, now I have to pull the tubes back out of the engine compartment. So hopefully these will just come right out. Yep, here they come. Okay, that's one. Now the other one. This one is the return. Whoop. Looks like the little grommet came with it to fix that. Alright, both of these are out. So now I'm going to begin the process of taking the gas tank out. So I'm taking the little relief breather thing off, and now I'm going to unscrew the tank. These are 9mm. And here's the connection for the fuel sender. Tank level indicator. Let's take that off. Let's take a look in the tank. Oh boy. That's Not wonderful. Okay. We'll see. The fuel tank is out, and it looks a little dirty in there, but it doesn't look horrible in terms of rust and 914, by 914 standards anyway. In there, right there, are the wraps that hold the fuel lines together. I pulled it off a little bit to start freeing it up. Those need to get released so the lines can come out. Bent the tabs down, and you can see that the lines are free. And there are the metal tubes that come in from where the grommets are for the fuel tank. And now it's just pulling it all the way through. I've already pulled the clear part out, or the plastic part out. Now I'll just, there it is, pulled out through the back. I just got to get the other one here. Might be a little harder. I pulled pretty hard to get the metal part past the grommet, but I did it. Now it's just a matter of like rotating it around. Okay, so this is the bad boy that I just pulled out. The good news is that the tubing is in actually really good condition. So maybe I didn't have to pull it out, except when you look at the top, see there's a lot of junk in there from years of neglected gas tanks and filters. So best that I pulled it out, get it all cleaned. Chris says in the instructions that it's easier to take the right wheel off, so we'll do that now. So we have our grommets there, and we're going to go ahead and do the install. First we'll put a little lubricant. It's a little bit of trial and error, but I've been able to get it to the right side of the shifter, which is where it needs to be. And it looks like it hasn't crossed over down here, so you can see it kind of in there. Seems to be in the right place. So, okay, I've got the pipe threaded through and just resting in the grommet. I'm going to go push it through right now. And the supply line is all the way through. Now it's time to get the return line in. I've lubed it up and put it in the hole, which is really hard to see, but trust me, it's there. Now let's put this in. Find its way. A lot of this is about just twisting. And you see, with the wheel off, it gives us a little extra room. Okay, you can see the return line is resting on the grommet hole, and now I'll just push it through. Hopefully it'll go right in. Okay, so both pipes are through the grommet. Just have to clean stuff up and get ready to put things back. So this is going to be my adapter. It's going to come from the stainless steel line from the gas tank in here. It'll reduce down to here, which will then go into the fuel filter and then come back out large again into the pump. I've pre-assembled the filter, the adapter, which goes large to small, and then preset the larger tube with clamps, just because it's easier to do it outside the car than here under the car. And I'm just going to put this in now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this U around the back of the bracket and then come back around. Now, according to the instructions, the larger bend return line is in the front hole. I'm going to put that one in first. Okay, the engine compartment tubes are in, and they fit neatly in the clips, and everything's connected up nice to the system. Alright, I'm about to put the supply line on. Here it is. Of course, don't forget to put the clamp on the line first with the screw adjustment facing down the head. Okay, I've got the output of the fuel pump going into the input of the fuel injectors. It's nice and tight, and now I'm going to turn my attention to the return, which is a little bit more cramped. I had to undo the ducting here to get better access to it since it's already through the grommet in the engine bay. So we'll hook that up to the return line here. All my connections done, the supply, the return, through the filter to the pump, and then up into the fuel injection system. Here's a shot of the pigtails that I made because I didn't want to cut into the factory wiring. So I just took the I terminal that came with the pump, attached a spade, male spade, so that it'll fit into the female on the car, and some shrink wrap to make sure that it stays put. I also wicked in some solder on both ends just because I don't trust crimp connections. I'm about to do the final hookups down here. I bought some cloth braided fuel hose to connect up the gas tank just to stay OEM. It also doesn't kink quite as much as plain rubber hose, especially the smaller diameter one. And if you see down in there, I put a mark on the tube for the minimum distance the hose has to go down to leave enough room for the clamp. Find that this is easier than just pushing and wondering if it's on far enough. Another really important tip to make sure that the lines don't kink underneath. What you want is the tank to sit, when the tank sits down, you want the line coiled up like that, because if it's kinked, you won't get any fuel in there. If you don't put a coil in it, it will just kink, although these cloth braided hoses are much less kinkable. So the way to do it is you kind of put a little twist in the hose so that when you attach it to the tank, there's already a loop in it, and then when it goes down, it lies flat, or at least you hope it will. So it should lie like that, okay? This is the fuel sender wire. When you put the gas tank back in, you don't want to leave it dangling because you'll have to take the tank back out to get it out. Ask me how I know. Anyway, better to just tuck it up in here and it'll be ready for you when the tank is in. The gas tank is back in. Little plastic thing under here is all set. Everything's tight. And we're ready to go. All good. Well, job's all done and the car is driving great. So this is an upgrade that everyone should probably do if you've got the original nylon fuel lines. Pretty simple, although there are a few potholes to avoid. Thank you, Chris at Tangerine, for making a great kit, and enjoy driving.